I feel like anyone who's ever played any competitive game ever has had those moments where you either think to yourself, oh, I love this game, it's so awesome, I never want to stop playing it. And the next moment, think to yourself you'd rather scratch your face with a cheese grater than ever touch this game ever again. I recently had that experience while playing, please don't laugh, Clash Royale of all things. Like one day I could be playing some of the most hyped matches that could even make Hungrybox faint from the top off. And in the next match want to throw my phone through 7 layers of wall because my opponent plays like a little pig. And this isn't just me. Like a lot of people who play competitive games, like shooters or MOBAs, like they hate it. Like if you go on YouTube right now and type in, are competitive games good for you? You get some super positive videos like, competitive games destroyed my life. Listen, why we play competitive games, even though they're really frustrating at times, isn't exactly what I'm here to analyze. Like, I think of competitive games just as abusive relationships. You know, you hate each other, yell at each other, call each other names all the time and say evil and heinous shit like, no, I wouldn't love you if you were a worm. But like, sex is good, so, I mean, you stay. But what I want to find out is if playing these competitive games is even good for you. Alright, I know we all want to dunk on the competitive games because, you know, they suck and make us mad. But admittedly, there are some good parts of them that I do actually want to go over. I'm willing to bet that you've all heard the whole argument of video games can actually help with hand-to-eye coordination. And like, yeah, sure man, but like, shut the fuck up. This is the kind of argument you use against your mother to justify your 2,000 hours spent in League of Legends like they're a good thing. Like, what is better hand-to-eye coordination gonna give you? Fucking more precise ruining? Like, come on. But something competitive games can do specifically is actually help develop and improve your cognition, which is the brain's ability to process information. The reason why competitive games in particular are good for improving cognition is because these games are generally pretty hectic and have a lot of moving parts, being the mechanics of the game or the players that compete in it, which then again requires a lot of adaptation and understanding from the player. This, naturally, requires the player to be able to take in a lot of information at once, and if you want to perform well, you're going to have to use that information effectively. Now, it's important to note that competitive games aren't going to make you some fucking super genius or whatever. You're not going to get more intelligent by playing these kinds of games exactly, and especially people with cognitive deficiencies aren't going to get better cognition because they're good at Valorant or whatever. But either way, you know, it's something. Another thing competitive games can help with is simulate a feeling of accomplishment, so that you feel like you can get good at something. You know, like, I see you there. You know, you perform terribly at school, your job stresses you out, your lady isn't satisfied with your performance in bed. But hey, at least you're Diamond 1 rank in Overwatch, you know. That's gotta count for something, am I right? Now, jokes aside, people like the feeling of, you know, getting good at something or being good at something. You know, it's basics in coping theory. And competitive games can be a pretty good way to simulate that feeling of accomplishment. Like, everyone loves the feeling of just looking at the results screen after a match and just looking at your great stats and performance from that game. Like, 18 kills and 2 deaths. Shit, if that was me and not a screenshot I found on the internet, you know, I'd feel pretty good about it too. Alright, so we learned that competitive games can help improve cognition sometimes and simulate a feeling of accomplishment. I mean, I'm going to check the notes to see if I've gotten everything. Yeah, no, that's a pretty good list, right? There's a couple of good things in there, you know. I'd say. Paul, remind me again. Why was competitive games such a hated thing again? Hold on. Let me just do this. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's not beat around the bush here. The reason we hate competitive games so much is because they make us angry as shit. Games are supposed to be fun, right? And competitive games can be a lot of fun. Often they have very satisfying to execute mechanics and skill expression that is unlike any other. But like, competitive games are at their most fun when you're winning. And so when you're not winning, you're not having as much fun. And that isn't a bad thing within of itself, right? Like, winning isn't fun if there's no risk of losing. but often the way people lose in competitive games can feel especially frustrating compared to other games. I don't think it's unreasonable to presume that the most common source of frustration when playing competitive games is just losing to shit that feels like it's out of your control. Like, don't tell me you haven't crashed out at least 30 times over getting teammates with brain-eating bacteria that makes them play like debilitated toddlers. And this is just one of the aspects that are frustrating about competitive games. I am sure you can tell me a lot of other reasons to why competitive games have pissed you off specifically, and in that case, tell me in the comments below. And since humans have an inherent negativity bias, a lot of these frustrations, they boil over and shape the way that we view competitive games. They become more frustrating than they become entertaining in a lot of aspects. But does this frustration mean that competitive games are bad for you? Well, what if I actually told you that it's not actually the game that is the problem? Like any divorced mom needing an explanation for why mommy and daddy's relationship didn't work out, maybe the problem is actually you. Or more specifically, addiction might be the problem with competitive games.
Look at this fucking company. They're trash! Fix the game! It sucks playing the shit! And I'm fucking addicted! So I can't quit! I'm so sick of this shit!
Like any good cereal drinker would say, it's not the drink that is the problem, it's how much you've had. And like alcohol, competitive games can be quite addicting, honestly. And ruin your life, apparently. And this is where the problem starts. A competitive game, be it a MOBA or shooter or whatever, generally hooks you in because of its fun and engaging gameplay loop, which often rewards you with small spikes of dopamine through stuff like getting kills or gaining rewards. It is these systems that makes players come back to play the game more, and where possible addiction could start to form. When I researched the positive effects competitive games had on cognition, the article I found mentioned how when you play competitive games, the decisions you make throughout the match positively impact your overall decision making. This makes for a pretty good gaming experience where I don't want to hang myself, so I'd say that's a pretty good thing. Those decisions are what become the main focus of the game for most people. But people who are addicted to a particular game tended to focus more on the results of a match than the decisions that were made throughout it. So when the results of a match were poor, which could happen despite the player's decisions due to, for example, randomness, it would negatively impact the player's mood. The addiction would take away focus from the fun process of actually playing the game and make the results what one would care about. Mistakes in a match would turn into mental problems and would cause the player to just get mad and frustrated, instead of getting good.
Oh my god, he did not just say that, oh my...
This kind of creates a conflict of interest in where you want to not focus on the results of the game to maximize fun, but competitive games in and of itself promote winning. Like that's the goal. It's a bit hard to just ignore that. And I think this is why people have such a bad view on competitive games. Focusing on the results sucks the fun out of the playing experience, but winning is dependent on those results. Sometimes addiction to rank points and shit can really enforce negative habits that can really impact one's mental or social life. Like, as my example, I would finally like to look at the short that we found earlier in this video.
Competitive games destroyed my life. Well, almost. Back in 2009, when I was 14 years old, I started playing this game called League of Legends. I got addicted. Those juicy rank points were all that I wanted. So I spent around 16 hours a day playing League of Legends. And I made it to top 200 EU, but with a huge prize. Not only did I lose all of my friends, my mental got really bad as well. I even had to get therapy.
And so I feel like we have gotten to the crux of the problem. I'm no psychologist or whatever, but based on what's been discussed today, it seems that the reason why competitive games make us want to blast a hole in our desk the size of your mother's asshole is because they inherently condition us to focus on the results instead of the moment-to-moment gameplay that we actually find fun with these games. So then, Yannikin, I hear you ask, are competitive games good for you then? Answer the fucking question! Well, I don't think it's really about competitive games in the end. I think it's more of a deeper personal thing. In the modern world, I feel we often focus so much on comparing our own results with others. We want to have the most money, the best looks, we want people to think that we are way cooler than we actually are. But all of this saps away the joy of the everyday moments in life that truly makes us happy, even if it's just for a fleeting moment.
waking up on a Saturday morning with plans to hang out with friends, experiencing art you really like, peeling off the plastic cover on the screen of a new phone. I fucking love doing that. It's these small things that truly bring joy into our lives.
And so in a sense, I feel like competitive games sort of mirror the way life is, which is a sentence I think should land me in an insane asylum, but I digress. I feel competitive games sort of reflect our inherent desire to want to be better than others, and we channel this desire through getting better results than others in these competitive games. And this is why poor performance feels so much more frustrating in competitive games compared to other games. When we do bad in a match in a competitive game, it doesn't just mean that you perform poorly, it also means that someone else did better than you. And we can't have that. You know, I'm supposed to be the best. I am the best! Don't you fucking take that away from me! And so next time you lose a ranked match due to whatever bullshit reason it may be, don't linger too much on the loss itself. Focus a little bit on the plays you made that game or the fun social moments that you had with your friends during the match. And don't forget that your cognition probably improved by at least a fraction during that match. You know what? I don't think anyone is going to do this nor care. How about we go back to doxing the enemy team because they picked a character that we don't like? What do you say? See you later, you handsome devils.